Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing.
Welcome to Planning for Win, Financial Guidance in Life. I'm Kevin Pinkley. Today joining us in the studio is Gregory Bledsoe, and Gregory owns a IT consulting firm. So we'll be talking about cybersecurity and other IT-related topics. Thank you for joining us today, Gregory.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Gregory, can you tell us a little bit about your company and how the listeners could get in touch with you?
Yeah, my name is Gregory Bledsoe, and I'm the president and CEO of Chrysalis MSP. We're located in the Cypress Champions area right off of 1960 there. But if you go to our website at www.chrysalismsp.com, and that's spelled CHRYSALISMSP.com, you can find a whole host of information on the topics that we're going to talk about today in further details.
Well, thank you. Well, Gregory, I think we'll start first with cybersecurity, right?
Yeah, that's the hot topic.
It is. So what do we need to know? What do we need to be concerned about? And what do we need to do to limit the possibilities of having issues?
So this is a topic that is pretty hot. It's been around for a little while, but it's recently heated up. You've seen results. Look at the elections and talking about people hacking into certain computer systems. But what a lot of small business owners don't realize is that the hackers are targeting SMB, right? And if small business owners don't prepare themselves, they're going to be in a world of trouble. And if you think about it, we can go in and we can put in the latest and greatest, the firewalls, the virus protection, the patch management, but the path of least resistance is that employee. So a lot of attention needs to be given to the education, to the employee, to kind of teach them what to look for, what not to click, when they should change their password. I own my own business. I do not like to change my password every 30 days, and it's complex, 16 characters, special characters. It is a hindrance, but that hindrance, you know what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Right now in the United States, there's no enforcement in terms of cybersecurity per se. If there is a breach, a lot of times small business, they don't even realize it, right? But it's going to get to the point. Now, look at Marriott. They just released that they had, 500-some thousand, people's records stolen. I stay at Marriott. What got stolen? Well, if you think about it, right, you have all of these websites out there. Look at like LinkedIn, and I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to mention, those, but LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, it goes on, right? And the most common thing about these websites or these systems is they require username and password. When you think about the employee, man, if you've got a mobile device, you probably got applications in there that require 20 usernames and passwords. And at work, they're up to date on the latest and greatest security threats, and they have all the policies in place. So they're going to make you have a strong password. It's going to be encrypted. It's going to be 32 characters, whatever the case may be. And you're going to memorize that password because you're going to utilize that password every day to do your work. Well, guess what? When you go to log into LinkedIn and LinkedIn says, I need you to do the same thing, you're going to say, well, I'm just going to use my work email and password because I use it every day. I know it changes. I'm good. The problem is when those systems get compromised, guess what they have now? In most cases, they have the keys to your business, access network. They also has the keys to your bank account because, the bank
Sure.
requires the same type of, requirements. But
Well, you mentioned something there that made a lot of sense. So you can have all the hardware and software in place, but the employees sometimes are the weak link, if you
right,
will. Not to mention that employees come and go.
correct,
Sometimes they leave on good terms, sometimes they don't.
right,
And sometimes it takes a while before a company or employer finds out that the person that they hired is the right fit or not.
correct.
So they have exposure there, I would
Yes.
think, until they find out that this is a person that I can trust and they'll carry out the duties and responsibilities as needed. So there's a lot of potential risk out there on the line for the company itself, maybe their customers, and then just the overall status of keeping the systems up and running.
Let me run a scenario for you. So let's tackle the big elephant in the room. Particularly is mobile devices. There's the Android, there's the iPhone. In some cases, that tool, man, that is a lot of power, right? And most of the times, everybody has a cell phone. My employees have them. And when they go on site to customers' environments, those devices have Wi-Fi, have access to the internet. They're not protected, okay? Now, what happens if one of those devices get on the corporate network and it is compromised? I was just with a customer maybe an hour ago, and this customer has access to some sensitive, secure, systems around town. And I ran that scenario to him, and man, his eyes got huge because he understands that, wow, I can't control whether or not my employee takes his cell phone into a secure area, okay, and he does something or he has some type of bug on his cell phone. It infects that, network, and they trace it back, and it goes back to me as the owner, right? Do I have cybersecurity insurance? Probably not. Do I have process and procedures that say, hey, look, this is our company policy and our stand on mobile devices, right? As long as you have something in place, right, that says, hey, this is the way our business conduct and do things, right? That gives you some protection. But a lot of business owners, they're unaware, right? And they're just trusting that employee to do the right thing.
Well, I think a lot of cases that employers and business owners are so busy trying to run their business, manage their customers and clients and their employees that, once they have a IT system in place that they think we're done and we're good. And frankly, if it works, we don't put a lot of thought into it otherwise. But it sounds like it's an ongoing process. It's ever changing. Technology's changing, but also people who want to do us harm
Absolutely.
technically are improving and improvising, and they're not resting, are they?
Absolutely. And you think about it. Back in the day, me attacking a billion-dollar company, if I was a hacker, I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm probably going to score, big time. I'm going to get that big payout. But now it's about the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it where I can go in and I can attack maybe, I don't know, 1 million small businesses, right? The chances are that some of those companies are going to have a stakeholder that says, hey, I don't think I want the $800 firewall. I don't think I want to pay for the security subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why do I need to have a Wi-Fi access point that gives me, a secure access and also a guest access, and that's isolated? Why do I have to pay for all those things, right? Because this threat that's up on the small businesses and us as a country, it is real, real as it gets. And, it's our job as managed service providers, IT professionals, is just to educate our customers. Education is the key. And that's why I'm here today. And,
Well, no, it's important. So I was just thinking while you were discussing that. So let's say I have a customer base or people provide services for me. as a business owner, how do I ensure, or can I, or what should I ask, or what should I ask them to do to show that there's not a liability on their end with our interaction? What should I ask of them?
So a lot of small businesses don't realize, and a lot of companies are doing this. So a lot of times, let's say you reach out, you're gonna, I don't know, buy a new financial package or going with a service that requires some type of cloud activity or technology. A lot of times, those vendors are asked, you as a business owner, hey, can we talk to your IT company, right? Because what ends up happening is they call the IT company. We don't know who they are, and they're questioning us about your systems, about your security practices. What do you have in place? Are your backups encrypted? Are they off-site? Do you have strong passwords? Do you have cybersecurity insurance? All those things, right? Because they want to make sure, just as we should be sure, whoever's coming into our environment, one, we know who they are. We can identify them. We can say, are they a threat or are they a friend? And we need to be able to identify that quickly, right? And the same thing in terms of businesses.
Well, when you mentioned environment, I never looked at it as those terms, but when you mentioned that word, what I pictured was you almost, in some cases, are literally giving someone the keys to your office, if you will.
Absolutely.
And in some cases, they have more information than if they had the keys of your office.
That's right.
Because frankly, most of our information, in general, the businesses, it's on our computers, if you will.
That's correct.
Or backed up somewhere. So, okay. Well,
it's a lot out there. And, there is, and there's some stuff we're working on. A lot of managed services companies have been preparing, offering some type of security plus services. And a lot of times, and it's an education process on both parts, because you take the small business owner and he has an IT guy or an IT company that's supporting him, and you start asking him questions about, hey, does anybody monitor your firewall for breaches? Does anybody, read your security logs? It's all my IT guy takes care of that. But managed service providers are not responsible, for the breach in your environment. Now, there are things that we can put in place to be able to do that, but that deals with compliance. That deals with, a SOC that's watching the firewall. If they see a breach, they're reporting on that breach. They're communicating what happened when the attack happened, right? All that information is required when we have to, let's say your environment was breached, right? And we found out about it, or somebody found out about it. Well, I don't think it's mandatory right now, but just imagine if it was mandatory for you to let people know, all your customers, like Marriott, hey, we had somebody hack into our systems and they stole financials, social security numbers, everything. Oh, by the way, we're going to fix that problem, and thanks for being my customer. It's probably not going to do I wouldn't utilize your services, if you had that lax
sure.
type of a security environment.
Well, so the risks potentially are compromised data when people get access to areas that they shouldn't. Are there other risks other than lost or stolen data or compromised data? I mean, I hear on the radio and the TV about people asking for money to turn their system back on, and I know that's not the correct term.
Right.
Where they basically hold a system hostage, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Ransom, I think that's the term.
Ransomware.
Yeah.
It's ransomware has gotten. It is a battle, right? It's a daily battle. But here's another story for you, and I hear this all the time for small business owners. I go talk to them, and I say, hey, look, you need to upgrade and get some type of advanced disaster recovery system, business continuity. You need to encrypt your laptop disk in case it gets stolen. What about your firewall? It needs to have subscriptions. And typically I'll get the answer, oh, I don't have anything worth stealing, or, I'm an open book, or whatever the case may be. Well, what they don't understand is the dark web is like a buffet table, right? It's not that they're going in there and looking for, his social security number. It's not like that. Imagine a buffet table with all your information out there, and you got hackers that are looking for specific things. Maybe your daughter's favorite name, maybe your wife's birthday, maybe your favorite pet's name. Their agenda is much larger. And even though you may think you don't have anything to hide and so forth, they're going to utilize that information to their advantage, right? And it's not going to be good. You start getting phone calls and you don't know what's going on. I mean, your digital footprint is about to be shaken, you know. There's a story I read in one of the security books. This gentleman, I think he wrote for Wired magazine, and he used Mac, the product. He used the cloud, iCloud, and he had all of his work there, 7 years, pictures, everything, right? And one day he logged into his PC or his Mac, and all of a sudden he gets a prompt. It prompts him for the password. He types in the password, and hey, it's not working. And so he types it in, it's not working. So he calls, Apple support, and it turns out a hacker, right, liked his Twitter feed, okay, his Twitter handle, okay. And when the guy found out what had happened, someone had destroyed 7 years worth of work, okay, over the fact that they liked his Twitter, because you can only, they're unique. Once you set up your Twitter account, hey, if you own it, it's like a domain name. Nobody else can use it unless you sell it to them or you authorize them to take ownership of it. Well, because he was a technology writer, he reached out and found out and said, hey, can you just tell me, why you did this? I understand I had pictures of graduations, births, weddings, just, personal stuff that's you can't replace. And he goes, the hacker told him, no heat against you, man. I just liked your Twitter account, and I needed it, and I had to have it, right? And who knows? He probably got that information somewhere off the dark web, So just understand the dark web is the dark web. It's the unknown, and your information, if it's out there, it's like a buffet table, right? It's like sharks out there, and it's a feeding frenzy in there. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think one of the mistakes that we make sometimes is we assume that just because we wouldn't do it or we wouldn't be interested in it, that
Right.
no one is. So, yes, normally when we think of compromised systems, we think of the data and the
Right.
potential harm that could be there. But in that case, somebody just wanted to be a jerk and destroy things. And there was important things there, and along with memories and business and everything else. So we can't assume that there aren't people out there with ill intent who have nothing else to do.
Right. And you think about it, right? I'm a tech guru type. I love technology. I got my garage. I can open it from here, and my refrigerator. And now there's this new technology where you can do lighting control, and I have all these colored scenes when my wife reads. There's her Bible study. Let me have the lighting set just perfect for you. But it's all connected to the internet. Right? Even my security system
Right.
is connected to the internet. I can control it from here. What if somebody hacks into that? And, I'm sure it's not a big deal, the fact that, hey, my front door can be open anytime and people can just walk in there and take all my stuff. Those are the things that we need to be aware of when we're introducing this technology into our lives. Like these new, what's the little, they listen, you can tell them the,
Oh, yeah, I know.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
Hey, but here's the thing. Me and my brother were having a conversation the other day, and he's like, oh, man, I got it. It's controlling my lights, my TV. It's awesome. And I was like, well, Roderick, that thing is listening. Well, yeah, but it only does what I tell it to do. Well, it has to be able to listen to that information, relay it to a database so it can get a proper response. So it always have to be actively listening, and that information, right, that it's recording all the time is being stored somewhere.
Right. Well, so folks in our generation, use technology primarily at first for business.
Right.
Okay. And then the social aspect and entertainment, if you will, probably secondary. But the younger generations, they're probably starting with the entertainment and social side of it first, and then later business related. So I have a question. We're talking about businesses and the potential issues that could be there, and just individuals, adults. So college students.
Yes.
So they go off to school. They have some type of mobile device. They have a laptop.
Tablet.
So there's a lot of information that are on that system, family related, personal information, financial information for school and banking accounts and checking accounts. So that's like a mini office they're walking
Yes,
around with.
Absolutely.
So I could see that, it's not just a toy anymore, and that there's information on there. So maybe they need some help as well. I mean, can the programs or similar programs for business owners be set up for someone in that situation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are tools out there to help you stay safe and keep your valuable information protected against theft, against loss, against, if you lose the laptop or device that you have it on. There are systems out there. And we're not talking about something that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, I'm a small business owner, okay? I have to watch my pennies, right? And so all I do when I used to work at ExxonMobil is take those practices, those best practices per se in the industry, and bring those to small business owners, right? Because it does save them money. And the technology that we use, right, we try it, we evaluate it, and we offer it to our customers. And we continue to educate ourselves and keep our skill sets up to date so we can stay sharp and be prepared, for what's coming.
Well, and talking about loss, I've known a number of people who are very mindful of what they do with their technology and the systems that are out there, but they've put that information in their car or in their trunk, and they walked into a store for a few minutes and walked out, and their vehicle was stolen. And then they had to explain to their company or maybe their clients that, hey, I'm sure everything's okay, but by the way,
That laptop
it's,
just spent
it's missing.
$3,000.
So, well, there's the cost of that, but
Right.
then there's also the potential information that's there.
Right.
And sometimes it's not just generic information, it's very specific. And probably the person that stole that vehicle didn't target the
That's correct.
potential information that was in there, but I mean, I guess in some cases they could. So, depending on what someone does for a living, so there's all kinds of considerations there of, hey, we did everything we were supposed to do, but someone who had different thoughts for my truck took off with it. So, okay.
Yeah, and who knows when crime is going to occur? It would be great if we can predict that because we'd be prepared. You know what I mean? But because we can't predict when crime occurs, what we need to do is be proactive about protecting, our most valuable information, data, whatever the case may be, and through backups, online backups, encrypting the disk. So if the information is there and it's very sensitive, somebody steals it, they can't get access to it. Just little small things. And again, education. I generally don't leave my laptop in my, truck
Right.
exposed on the dashboard or anything like that. So it's education. It's kind of like in the military. They used to tell me, Greg, do you really? Because when I went into basic training, they would make us wear our lock and key around our neck, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, my wall locker was on the floor. So instead of me getting down on the floor with the chain around my neck and opening up, I just took the chain off and opened up the lock. He yelled at me and said, keep that around your your neck. The whole purpose is to teach you that security, is there for a reason, right? And if somebody breaks into your wall locker, it's not the thief's fault; it's your fault for not securing it. So, but
So I guess you remembered that, right?
I did. Yes, I did. He
Okay.
fussed at me. So,
All right. Well, you mentioned so cybersecurity again. A lot of times, people will look for information, but I think they go to the wrong source or sources that aren't up to speed, if you will. And so here's an example.
okay.
My brother-in-law does IT work at XYZ company, and he told me to do this.
All the time.
Right, or something along those lines. So, and since I'm not an IT person, but that's just an easy answer, and it probably didn't address their issues. And at some point, they're going to find out, gosh, I really didn't understand something or know something. So that should be left to the professionals. It's no different
Absolutely.
than any other industry. That there's a lot of, oh yeah, but. Or, yeah, that was right last year, but not
Right.
anymore. So they're just not up to speed.
Not up to speed.
Okay.
I was with a customer. It was a referral, and went into the customer, and they had just hired a new executive administrative assistant, and she was going through telling me what was wrong and what I needed to fix, and she kept pointing to this computer behind her, saying, "Hey, my boss likes Mac, and I'm a PC person." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem. We can get everything set up for you." And I was like, "By the way, that Mac that's giving you the warning that the drive is about to crash and there's no virus protection on it, and you guys just have it sitting there, what's on it?" "Oh, what? That's where all our financial data for the company is." And I'm like, "Do you realize if that drive crashes, you probably want to recover that data, and data recovery guys charge anywhere from $2,500 on up."
Sure.
Okay, and a lot of times the data that comes back is, it's not 100%. So if it's really, really important, I'd probably back it up. But it's an education.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned I could just visual see that computer in the back.
Right behind her.
And, I had a story to tell. Decades ago, I worked in a different industry, and we had a customer that kept having problems with their computer. And I don't have anything to do with the computers, but I was part of the team that was resolving these. So we went to see this client in another state. I'll just say it's one of the most frigid states in the country. Okay. And so we addressed all the other issues, and we said, the IT person was there. He said, "Let me take a look at your computer." And he's like, "Well, it's not in our building." And he's like, "Where is it?" He says, "Well, it's outside." So we go to it outside, and it's in this uninsulated metal building
wow.
set up literally on some pallets
Yep.
with an extension cord running to it. So we go out there, and, it gets minus 10, minus 20, minus 30 where this company was. And the IT guy looks at him and goes, "Yeah, this computer wasn't meant to be here." So these guys that ran this company had all this expertise, some of it technical, some of it mechanical, very hands-on persons. But, this computer was just a tool, and it was like, well, we don't need it in here. We'll set it out there.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it literally was trying to operate in that environment on this stack of pallets, and they just didn't understand, why isn't this working? And it was like, well, it was funny, but sometimes it's something as ridiculous as that of, okay, well, I didn't even think about that, or we're so busy with everything else, and it's obvious to everyone else, right?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, being in the IT industry, you run across a lot. I can think of a story when we were taking our oldest son to college and to play football. He was going to Iowa. And I get this frantic call from a law firm. They're no longer in business today. And it was from the administrator, and she was saying, "Hey, we just got hacked. They stole hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I got Chase on the phone, and you guys need to get on the phone because it's your fault," the IT guy. So, I'm frantic and I get on the phone and we chase it all the way down to the problem. And we find out that it came from a computer in their environment. But here is the other side of the story. A few months before this incident, we went to this administrator and we said, hey, we noticed you have two computers in your office. One of them has our support information on it. We monitor and we support it. The other one doesn't. She says, oh, well, I don't really do anything on that one. It's just the next computer. This is the one I want you guys to monitor. Plus, I don't want to pay that extra monthly fee for that PC. Well, guess what PC got hacked?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, ounce of prevention.
Right. Those old wives' tales, you bet. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Gregory Bledsoe and IT topics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing.
We're back. This is Planning for Win, Financial Guidance in Life. I'm Kevin Pinkley, and we're continuing with Gregory Bledsoe. So, Greg, what would we like to talk about next?
Let's talk about voice over IP. That has been probably a topic or a technology that people have had some experience with. Some of it has been positive, some of it has been negative, but there's a lot of confusion around voice over IP or VoIP, VoIP, and that's all it is. It's voice over IP, meaning your computer wires, your computer infrastructure. And starting off, I know people have probably heard of Magic Jack, and when you think about voice over IP, that's what they think about. Oh man, I don't want the Magic Jack or the, where I'm talking over the internet. But voice over IP, if you think about it, it can really save you some money, especially if you have multiple locations, right? And most people don't realize those people who have traditional analog phone systems, those lines that they have, if it's not a PRI or SIP lines, they're traditional POTS analog lines. And usually they cost anywhere from $30. I saw an account the other day where the customer had 5 lines and they were paying $60 per line, right? Where SIP lines, they're cheap as $5 to $18. So you can see the savings. And typically what we do is we go in, we ask to see a copy of the phone bill, right? And we take the savings that we get from moving them out of that legacy technology into relevant and current technology. And it pays for the technology. And they get all the bells and whistles and all the advanced features, the savings, right? They get a system that can be hosted in the cloud. They don't have to worry about hardware. There's tons of options when it comes around voice over IP. And, I want to talk a little bit about, if I can add some clarity to voice over IP, because it's an awesome technology.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question first. So for those of us that aren't really familiar with it, what's the advantages of, obviously you mentioned the cost savings. So as a business owner, what's the advantages? And what are some of the, pushback issues, if you will, that you hear when you go in and talk to people that this is an option? And I think probably most of the pushback is they're not familiar with it.
That's correct.
And it's something that they haven't heard or frankly don't know what it does.
Or they saw a deal online and they signed up for Magic Jack, or they saw it in Walmart and they picked it up and, hey, it worked pretty good, but, it was on their home PC and, sometimes people could understand them, or it was like they were talking in a tunnel. Voice over IP done right is beautiful, right? Let's take my case, right? I have people all over the United States that we support that utilize the phone system. In terms of my footprint, I've got people overseas, right, who have just a handset. My parents, have a handset at their house, and I just hit a button. They're fingertips away from me being able to communicate with them. I didn't set up any infrastructure to my parents' house or engineers all over the world. We use the power of VoIP, and that is voice communication happening over IP. Yes, the transfer of the internet, it's works off of IP, Internet Protocol. That's what it stands for. But if you can run voice packets over there, man, you can reach out and touch globally, all over the world, wherever they have internet access. That means that if you have multiple locations, right, and you're paying for all these different T1s or links to have these offices linked together, so the phone system, everybody can be on the same footprint. Oh man, a voice over IP does that with ease, right?
So it sounds like flexibility is
Flexibility.
one of the big issues. Yeah. Okay.
They're soft phones. So I liken it to I need to be available for my customers anywhere, anytime, any place, right? And I always have to be prepared to have that professional appearance to take care of business. Because usually when they call me, it's an issue, right? And having that feature allows me to continue to conduct business at the same level that they're accustomed when I'm not in the office. And that's power.
So when you say not in the office, so you're in another state, you're in another country, you're in another office building, I'm at a remote location. Okay.
And the app works on your cell phone. So any place that your cell phone has connectivity for you to be able to make phone calls, right? And I could be on the beach. I don't drinking a martini, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you get the picture.
Sure. Okay.
Right? And my biggest customer calls, and I'm available. And I'm not saying, hey, look, you want to be working all the time, but there are some cases, especially with small business owners, you have to be available, for your customers. And that technology allows that. And you got employees. Some of them work, this new millennial thing, they just work. You know what I'm saying. So it's perfect for them.
Okay. So maybe even for family. You mentioned your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my parents live in Dallas, and I press a phone call. My mom can hear me and talk to me. She can see me. Well, look at Apple with FaceTime and things of that nature. People want to have that, real interactive experience, and they're doing it on mobile devices. You can do the same thing with voice over IP, and there's the systems we sell and support. I always tell people this: they're not Ferraris, right? They're either a Chevrolet or a Ford. They just get the job done.
Well, I could see just to have the ability to communicate better and with a little more flexibility to your own employees.
Absolutely.
Where, hey, we need to get a hold of you now, and we need to have a conversation. Then I could see the benefits just from that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about it when people leave you voicemails, right? Now with Unified Communications, they leave you a voicemail. It's emailed to you. You can listen to it on your phone. In some cases, man, the software can go in and look at that voicemail and tell you what it says in the voicemail.
Have you noticed certain industries or professions benefit more from that than others? So I'm thinking people who have to be reached immediately. So business owners, okay. I could see doctors, attorneys, salespeople. Okay, I mean
that's
okay.
the biggest one, and I always look at it from the point of view of the business owner as an IT service provider, and I'm not, they always accuse IT people of just being too controlling, right? But we have to present, the information, and then you make the decision. But if you think about it, the most important thing for us is our customer database, right? So salespeople, when they come in, they're interacting with your customers and new customers. If they have a cell phone, they're going to give that cell phone out, or they're going to put it on that business card. Well, let's say this employee is not a long-term employee, and he goes. Well, guess what he or she takes with them? Your customers, right? And they can call and interact and have conversations that you're not aware of. With this application, you give them a DID and tell them that it's put it on their phone number, and it may be tied to a soft phone, right? And it will ring their cell phone. So if they do decide to leave, you just reassign that to the next salesperson, right? And you protect the brand and that knowledge base, you know. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but I've had experience where they.
No, I could see that. I that wouldn't be the first thing that came to mind, but since you mentioned it, it makes all the sense in the world.
IT people always look at things from a security standpoint. The fact that, hey, I can call my mom and it doesn't cost anything, hopefully they don't start charging me, but is awesome. You know, and she can hit her button and instantly hear my voice or intercom into, truthfully, how it all started. When my kids would get home from school, have you ever seen the commercial where the lady is watching as the kid opens the door and she sees it on a camera and she's.
Yep. Okay.
Same thing. The only problem is my kids would get home and they wouldn't answer their cell phones, right? So what I can do is intercom into my house and listen and call out names. Hey, Daddy's trying to call you. Mommy's trying to call me. Get the cell phone, you know. But it has all purposes. But you know,
kids wouldn't ignore their parents, would they?
No doubt, right?
All right. Well, what else could we use that technology for?
Typically, if you think about companies that have multiple locations, so we're doing I won't say the name of the company, but we're doing an install right now. The company has one location here in Houston. They have one in Toussaint, Louisiana, and one in Cummington, right? And they have all independent phone systems, and they all communicate across the business through long distance, and it's huge. So now that we're putting that system in place, there's all kind of applications. One, because it's a shared system, they can now, if they so desire, have one receptionist. Okay, they can field all those calls for all different sites. Savings there. Long distance between calls between each location goes away, right? I need to make an announcement company-wide over the intercom. Hey, I would do it because I like to play. You know, all kind of assets. It gives you the ability, the power of reach and touch to be able to communicate quickly with those employees. You know, that's valuable. Information and speed is the key. And voice over IP enables that. The other thing, too, is the cost savings that we haven't even talked about. You realize with a traditional analog phone system, it has its own wiring infrastructure, right? If you think about it, you have two type of cabling infrastructure. You have the traditional phones, and then you have the computers. So every time you build a new office or set up a location, if that is the method and direction you're going, you're going to be paying twice for the same, the phone legacy stuff is different cabling. But the new phone systems, they can use the same wire and network wire that your computers, therefore eliminating the cost of having to, you know, pay for a whole new cabling infrastructure for your phone system. Let's get some common so we can all share these resources. And, and most of them are software-based, you know, so you buy one and it continues to evolve, and it is relevant today as it was 5-6 years ago because it's software-based and it's being updated, and you don't have to, you know, worry about being so tied to the hardware, which is awesome. So
it sounds like it's portable. Was that the correct?
Yeah,
term?
portable. It's a software-based system. So as a developer or someone, they're going to continue to do upgrades and features, just like, you know, think about Windows XP. I'm on Windows 10 now. You guys are Windows 7, you know, and we all started with Windows 95, right? And it's a software. We continue to utilize the operating system, right? We're loyal, you know, because that's what works. Same thing with voice over IP. Most of them are software-based phone system. If they get it right, you'll continue to stay with them. But in traditional phone systems, what do? You buy them and you have them for 10, 15, 20 years. And when the company's out of business, you go, well, I think it's time for us to upgrade this phone system. Because that's the mindset. We buy it and we want it to last forever. But with that technology, it'll probably last for a good while, but it's not relevant to today's technology because there's no way to upgrade it. It was built for its specific time, and it can do its specific functions. But it starts participating and interacting in today's technology, not going to happen. So,
Do you find when new companies start up versus existing ones that they're more open to that conversation, or does it really matter, or is it just mainly they just need to be aware of it?
Generally, what happens, the systems I sell, which is great, they're kind of like a hybrid, so they can function in both environments. So generally what I do is I kind of show them the advantages, explain it to them, and if they don't understand, I start with the numbers, right? I just said, hey, okay, if you want to go traditional phone system, we're going to have to run, separate wiring system, and this is how much it's going to cost for the wiring system. Let's say it's $5,000. It costs $5,000 for network wiring. That's $10,000. And he goes, well, you mean to tell me I can cut that in half, 50%, if I just go with a voice over IP phone system and I get all these features and advantages? It's a win-win.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, I certainly want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Kevin.
You bet. Could you tell the listeners one more time how they could get a hold of you?
Yeah, the easiest way to get a hold of us, you can always call us at 713-575-2608. Again, that's 713-575-2608. Or you can go to our website at www.chrysalis.msp, and it's spelled CHRYSALISMSP.com. And just click on, I've got tons of information. I even have a guide on if you're looking at VoIP, cybersecurity. You can sign up for our monthly newsletter, a weekly security tip. We're doing everything we can to try to educate small business owners about the threat and the technology that's out there, cloud, Office 365, all those questions. Just give us a call. We'll be happy to talk to you.
Well, thank you, Greg. And thank you for listening. This is Planning for Win, Financial Guidance in Life. And you can join us next month, the last Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Or you can always find us online at Lone Star Community Radio. Thank you.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing.